When a man is too nice, that's the moment he begins to get replaced without even realizing it. You help her with everything. You listen to all her problems. You're always there when she's sad. You text first every day. You check on every little detail. Then one day your message gets seen but not answered. The date gets canceled at the last minute, and you're left staring at your phone in silence, asking yourself, what did I do wrong? You freeze up when all eyes are on you. You text her first every time, and she replies whenever she feels like it. You feel invisible even when you're right there. And here is the brutal truth no nice guy wants to hear. The harder you try to prove how good you are, the less she respects you. You can't force attraction, but you can create moments that make her think about you when you're not there. The problem isn't that you're not kind enough. The problem is that you've lost your presence. You've lost your scarcity. You've lost your contrast in her eyes. When you are always there at any time, anywhere, without conditions, you slowly turn yourself into something predictable. And the human mind is not wired to crave what is always available. Women don't miss you when you're always on standby. They miss you when you have your own life, your own value, your own world that they can't access whenever they want. Presence isn't about showing up constantly. It's about showing up with weight. Scarcity isn't about playing hard to get. It's about genuinely having a life that is busy, ambitious, and meaningful. So your world doesn't revolve around one woman. Contrast is when, next to you, she feels the difference between you and the rest, your calmness, your self-control, your lack of desperation for attention. But most men choose the opposite path. The more they like her, the more they overgive. The more they fear losing her, the tighter they cling. The tighter they cling, the faster they get pushed away, and they end up in the friend zone. Labeled the nice guy to talk to, treated as a backup option, while real desire is reserved for the man who doesn't try so hard. If you've ever been in that role, comment the word awake to remind yourself that you're watching the right video. This is not a video about manipulating women. This is a video about facing the truth. Attraction doesn't come from trying to please. Comes from having enough value that you, Dante, have to beg anyone to stay. And from this moment on, you will understand why being too nice is the sweetest trap that ever locked you inside loneliness. You are not weak. You are just exhausted from trying to be good enough in someone else's story. You've stood there before, watching her smile brightly while texting another man, while your own message sits unanswered for hours. You ask yourself, what does he have that I don't? And in your head, you start comparing every detail: money, looks, words. But here's the most painful truth. You didn't lose because you were worse. You lost because you placed yourself beneath her. You gave too much, too early. You sacrificed time, emotion, and energy while she had never invested at the same level. You show up every time she calls. She disappears when you need her. You wait, you hope, you explain yourself. And little by little, you lose the presence of a man who has options. When you are always available, you are no longer the prize. You become a service. Psychology calls this the devaluation effect of over-availability. The human brain is not designed to cherish what requires no effort to obtain. Scarcity creates desire. Presence creates impact. Contrast creates memory. When you become too predictable, too accessible, too controllable, dopamine, the chemical of longing, stops firing. She no longer misses you because her brain doesn't need to store something that never disappears. That's when you're placed into the safe guy role, the one she talks to when she's sad, but not the one who makes her heart race. You don't lack love. You lack self-control. You don't lack sincerity. You lack boundaries. You think love means giving everything away. But you don't realize that the more boundaries a man has, the more principles he lives by, the stronger his own world becomes, the more he activates a woman's instinct to respect him. Now, if you truly want to change, not through tricks, it's not through manipulation, but by rebuilding your own value, here are the steps you must take. First, stop the reflex of replying instantly. Not to play games, but to retrain your nervous system to remember that you have your own life. Every time you pause before replying, you reclaim a piece of control from your fear of losing her. Second, withdraw unconditional emotional gifting. You are no longer a free umbrella for every emotional storm in her life. You invest only when there is equal return. First, this will make you feel anxious and empty because you're addicted to being the nice guy. But it is inside that emptiness where your value begins to rebuild. Third, build a life axis that doesn't revolve around women. Your career, your body, your skills, your discipline, your mission. When your life becomes big enough, women stop being the goal and become a choice. And from that moment, the pressure vanishes from your eyes. You stop speaking from invisible desperation. You speak from grounded strength. Fourth, and the hardest step. Accept that some women will leave the moment you stop being too nice. And that is not failure. That is purification. It's the woman who stays when you have boundaries is the one capable of respecting you. The one who leaves is simply the one who benefited from your weakness. Men think they are afraid of losing a specific woman. In truth, what they're really afraid of losing is the feeling of being needed. And that very feeling is what traps them in a role with no ending. When you begin to change, something strange happens. She starts texting more, asking more, getting curious. Not because you're doing more for her, but because you've stopped doing everything for her. Your presence gains weight. Yes. Your scarcity gains value. Your contrast becomes visible. You are no longer the man who is always standing there. Become the man who can disappear. And it is that ability to disappear that makes people remember you. If you see yourself in these words, comment the phrase, "Reclaim my value," so I know you're truly serious about changing. You don't have to become cold, heartless, or cruel to become an attractive man. You only need to stop betraying yourself every time you're afraid of losing a woman. When a man is too nice, what he's really doing is not loving. He's trading himself for the hope of being chosen. And that is a losing deal from the very beginning. Lesson 1. Attraction does not come from trying. It comes from the aura of a man who has options. Lesson 2. Women don't remember the man who is always there. They remember the man who makes them wonder when he'll appear again. Lesson 3. You don't need to prove your value to anyone. Value reveals itself through how you live, how you decide, and how you walk away when you're disrespected. Lesson 4. Boundaries don't make you lose women. Boundaries filter out the ones who never deserve to stay. In Lesson 5, the most important of all, you only become truly attractive when you respect yourself first. From today on, you are no longer the man waiting for texts. You are a man with a schedule, with priorities, with a mission. From today on, you no longer rush to her every time she calls. You observe, you choose. You invest only when it is returned. From today on, you stop chasing validation from other people's eyes. You build a life so big that you yourself feel proud when you look back at it. And then you'll notice something strange. You're no longer obsessed with whether she misses you or not, because you've become the man you would never want to lose. If you have ever been too nice, ever been ignored, ever been treated as a backup, ever sat in the dark asking why you were never chosen, this video is for you. Leave the comment "No more nice guy" to mark the moment you decide to change your identity. And if you truly want to build the kind of masculine presence women respect, not pity, subscribe to this channel, because what you just heard is only the beginning.